Now that we have all of our textures baked, let's now begin working on the materials and the textures. I'll come up here to the Layers panel, and this is really where we're going to be doing most of the work. We get a standard layer here for free, but I don't really need that, so I'll just click on the trash can to delete it. And what we'll be doing is basically choosing between these materials that we have down here. Many of these are materials that came with Substance Painter, and a few of these are materials that I've downloaded from various locations like textures.com or Substance Source. And we'll take a look at Substance Source here in just a little bit. But for now, these materials I think will do just fine. So the way it works is you choose a material. Let me scroll down and find a material here. I think I'm going to use this painted steel. Let me make the icons just a little bit bigger here so we can see them. There we go. So right down here is my painted steel. I think this is going to be the material of choice for most of the metal parts of the gun. Now if I just take this and drag it up into the Layers panel, it will think for a moment and then apply that to the entire object. So this is not exactly what we want, but it's a step in the right direction. I like the specularity or the shininess of this particular object or this particular material, but I feel like there's too much bump going on. I don't think a gun like this would have this kind of rough metal. So to change that, I'm going to change the Layers menu right here from Base Color to Height. And now I can take the Linear Dodge blending mode and just reduce that some. Let's see what happens if we take it down to 30. So there it's quite a bit smoother. All right, well that's pretty good, but it's the wrong color. So let's change the color to something a little more appropriate. I'm going to come over here to the paint color swatch and click on that. And I'll just move it over into the gray area here maybe. Something like that. So it's getting a little bit closer to the kind of color that we'd want. Now, in addition, we need to isolate it to the particular material that we want to apply this to. So that's why we created all those colors in the Vertex Paint Tools in Blender. So let's go ahead and do that. I can right-click on this layer and choose Add Mask with Color Selection. And if I do that, the whole thing turns white again. And now we can come over here and click Pick Color. And our gun now turns to the vertex colors, and we can hover over an area and click it. And now that material is applied just to that part of the gun. And that looks pretty good. But the problem is, how do we do that for every single piece? We need to somehow split up these materials and add a color selection to each individual one. So to do that, I need to create groups to put these in. Let me undo this. So we're back to the painted steel now. Now what I'll do is create a group or add a folder, and then I'll drag my painted steel into here. I'll give that folder a name, call it Metal Main. And instead of applying the color mask to the material itself, I'm going to apply the color mask to the group. So Add Mask with Color Selection, pick a color, and then click that. Now, anything we put in this group is going to be isolated just to this part of the gun. And what we'll do for every other vertex color is we'll create a group and add materials into that. So now let's add a little wear to this. What we need to do is, first of all, add a black mask. So I'll right-click the material, add a black mask, and to that mask I will add a generator. Now I'll come over here to the generators pull down right here, just click that, and let's choose metal edge wear. We have dirt and drip and fiberglass edge wear, but let's use this one here, the metal edge wear. I'll click that. And what that does is it applies the material to just the edges here. But I want it the other way around. I want the edges to be white and everything else to be my painted steel color. So what I can do is come over here and just click invert. So now you've got a bit of edge wear there, but it looks like it's a little too much. So let's just take that wear level down like this, quite a bit. There we go. Now we need to put something underneath here for it to be revealing, for it to be worn down to. So I think maybe just plain metal for what it's worn down to. So I've got a steel rough somewhere in here. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, right here. So I'm going to click and drag and drop it right on top of that painted steel. And now that steel rough material is showing through in the edge wear. And I think I'm going to take it down a little bit more. So let's go back to the edge wear generator here. I'll just click on it in the layers panel. And I'll take the wear level down a little bit more. And maybe take the grunge amount down. And then I think I'll click on the steel rough material and let's take that color down a little bit darker. So I'll just click here and drag down in the value. So it gets just a little bit darker like that. There we go. So now we've got that base material with a little bit of edge wear showing through. Now let's create a new group and let's work on maybe these parts, the shoulder rest, the scope, the parts that were plastic. So I'll create a new group. We'll call this plastic. And for this, we have a plastic material here. Here we go, plastic glossy pure. We also have plastic PVC. Let's go with the plastic glossy pure for now. Let's give it a try. I'll drag this and drop it into that group. Now it applies it to the whole thing, but once again what we can do is for the group, right click and choose Add Mask with Color Selection. Click Pick Color and we'll click on the blue. And there we go. So now we need to do a little work to get this to the proper color and material. Let's say we want the color to be very similar to this other. We can come over here and click on the color swatch, and then I can click on the color picker, this little eyedropper here, click and hold, and while I'm holding I'm going to drag over here and find a nice color right in there, let's say. And there we go. So now we've got those plastic pieces. I think they could be a tad bit darker, let's say. And we've brought up the orangish rust color here. I think I'm going to drag this up back into the blue where we were originally. And then I'm going to make it so it isn't quite so shiny. It looks a little too smooth and shiny. So I'm going to increase the roughness right here. Drag that up just a bit and reduce the amount of shine we're getting on that. There we go. So it's now a similar color but a different material, and hopefully that will come through that this is plastic and this is metal. Let's also add a little dirt to this. If we scroll down here, I think I've got some rust coarse here. Let's go ahead and drag that in and drop it right on that plastic glossy. So it's right underneath it. Now we can't see it because it's being blocked by the plastic, but on the plastic, let's right click, choose Add Black Mask. Now we can see through it to the rust. Now on the black mask, let's right click and choose Add Generator. And for this generator, let's choose a dirt generator, and then we need to invert it. If you see here, it looks like our color is in the edges, whereas the rust is over everything else. We need to flip that. So I'll just come over here and in invert, I'll just click it and turn it on. And then let's take that dirt level way down. Way down. So there's just a little bit of dirt in the edges. And also that material has brought along some height information. So what I'll do is I'll select that rust material and let's see if we can bring down the height. I have height up here chosen right here. And for this, let's bring down the linear dodge. See if we can smooth that out a bit. So maybe just down below 10 even. And there we go. So now we've got a little bit of dirt hanging out in the nooks and crannies of that material. All right, we're coming along. In the next video, what let's do is add the materials for these other parts. And we'll also talk about finding and downloading materials from Substance Source.